What's up, college football fans? Welcome back to an all new episode of the Cover 2 College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Smithson, joined as always by my co host, the Okie Longhorn himself, Dalt, as usual. First and foremost, how are we doing tonight, buddy?
It's SEC preview, baby. We're doing great. Best conference in the entire world. NFL, UFL, XFL. I don't care if Dwayne the Rock Johnson come out during the XFL. SEC is the most premier football in the world. Top to bottom, greatest conference ever created. Thank you, Greg Sankey.
Yeah, obviously we saved this one for last. Kind of felt like it was the one that we were obviously closest to, being Oklahoma and being an Oklahoma and Texas fan. Um, and honestly, I don't mean to be biased, but the storylines might be the best in the SEC. Like I feel like you have the Big 12 and the SEC this year as probably your two most just kind of up for grab conferences. But obviously, you probably have more teams in the SEC that are going to compete for national championships compared to that of the Big 12. Not trying to take a shot at the Big 12. It's just the nature of the beast. You have bigger brands, bigger, with more well-known coaches, players. Like it just is what it is. And you have a year that Dalton kind of just feels wide open. I mean, like as wide open as maybe it's ever been. Like we're now going on year two of Nick Saban being removed from Alabama, who hasn't won a national championship since 2020 anyway. And, Georgia has kind of, they were up there at the pinnacle and have kind of fallen back off. And, the SEC hasn't won a national title, and this will be going on year three. They haven't even played for one in 2 years. And so, as far as the dominant reign of this conference, maybe it's not continuing. I think we would both still agree that the I guess you can't say the best teams because they haven't won it, but this is some of the best. You have the great rivalries, you have just insane matchups, coaching. Like it's just when you think of college football, you think of these teams that we're going to talk about tonight: LSU, Alabama, Texas, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Georgia, like Texas A&M, Auburn. Like it doesn't get any better than this. And we're going to preview it tonight, just like we've done our other three Power Four conferences. We're going to get into these schedules, talk a little bit about that media poll that was released, talk about over unders, just like we've always been doing, and then we'll get into predictions to end the night and see kind of where we're at on all that. So I'm excited for this one, Dalton. This is probably like again, not just because I'm an Oklahoma fan, but this is probably the episode I've been looking forward to the most. Just because they're just so. I mean, we talked about it with the Big 12, probably the best quarterback conference in the country. The SEC, I think you have some really good quarterbacks, but like there are so many new guys across this conference that you have no idea. Like you know a little bit what you're getting, but kind of unproven or young. Like just whether it's transfers in, guys that have, sat behind other players that, or even just true freshmen for that matter. And so we're gonna talk about it all. And I guess we can just kind of jump right into it. Do you have? I have it. If you don't, do you have the media?
Right.
Okay, so just rip off that media poll, and we'll kind of dissect that a little bit and see what we think.
Okay, the SEC preseason media poll, because they're not cowards and they do shit like that. Number 1, Texas. Number 2, Georgia. Number 3, Alabama. Number 4, LSU. Number 5, South Carolina. Number 6, Florida. Number 7, Ole Miss. Number 8, Texas A&M. Number 9, Tennessee. Number 10, your Oklahoma Sooners. Number 11, Auburn. Number 12, Missouri. Number 13, Vanderbilt. Number 14, Arkansas. Number 15, Kentucky. And rounding out the field of 16, the Mississippi State Bulldogs.
So, I guess off the rip, Dalt, does anything jump off the page here at you?
Yeah, the fact that Oklahoma's all the way down at 10.
Too low or too high?
Too low.
I guess too low. You say all the way down.
Entirely too low. Why? Where's the faith in Tennessee? I have no clue. Where's the faith in A&M? I mean, I know they had a good year last year and they return a lot, but let's not act like Oklahoma didn't have a really, really good portal and a pretty decent recruiting class. They bring in one of the up and coming offensive minds in Arbuckle. They bring John Mateer in as quarterback. Really the missing piece last year outside of the 75 hurt wide receivers. But I think Oklahoma is way low. I have Tennessee would be below a couple teams that they're above right now, and that's saying something because I'm not high on the bottom half of the SEC. Ole Miss, I mean, what you're going to get with them, I'm not sure. I think South Carolina might be a little too high, but they're one of the only teams in the country that return, or only team in the conference that return a starting quarterback. But
yeah,
I don't know. I just off rip for me, Oklahoma's too low.
Okay.
Whether that be 2 or 3 spots, but it's still 10's too low.
So here's kind of when I look at this, I kind of see 1 through 4 here: Texas, Georgia, Alabama, LSU. I think those are 4 teams that can win this conference this year. And then when I look at like 5 through 10, in my opinion, like South Carolina, Florida, Ole Miss, A&M, Tennessee, maybe. I think we're both kind of down on Tennessee, but I probably think they're going to be a little better than you do. And then Oklahoma, I think one of those 4 teams at the top will win the conference, but I think that 5 through 10, like obviously if you say one of those 4 could win it, then probably one of the other 3 would be in the championship. But I think that any of those other 6 could have just as good a chance to play in the championship game. Now, will that happen? I don't know. I can't necessarily say I completely, even as an Oklahoma fan, I try not to be biased. I don't totally agree with you. I might have Oklahoma at 8, maybe, because I think South Carolina is a little high with everything that they lost. Like you're right. You do bring back Sellers, and he's probably the most proven and best quarterback. But then Florida at 6, like, are we basing that solely on Lagway?
Yes.
Because
I mean, it has to be.
Now, granted, I know they kind of came on at the end of last year and they were playing a lot better. Like they were not a terrible football team, but I think the jury's still out on Billy Napier. I think this is like for Brent Venables at Oklahoma, a make or break year for him at Florida. And like I think those 2 guys are probably on the hottest seat in this conference. I think we would probably both agree there. If it's kind of if you don't get it done this year, you're probably done. Like you've had 3-4 years, this is it. You have what you feel like are your guys, but I just kind of think Florida's a little high. I think they should maybe be 8, 9, and like, but you look at those teams in that category, and I think you just have a lot of questions. South Carolina loses a lot of production offensively and defensively. Florida, you bring, like I said, you have Lagway, but you just don't know. And how healthy is he? There's been a lot of rumors that he's, nursing a shoulder injury. Ole Miss breaking in a new quarterback. I think a lot of people are kind of high on A&M. They're at 8. But I'm still not sold on Marcel Reed. I think, Mike Elko is going to have that defense playing really well. He's going to have more of a fingerprint on that defense this year. They've already kind of established that in College Station. But offensively, are they going to be able to take a step? And then you have Tennessee, who, again, new quarterback, Joey Aguilar. A lot of people like him and a lot of people don't. From what I've seen, I know you're not high on Tennessee, but a lot of people think that, he may fit Heupel's system better than Nico did as a quarterback, as just kind of a system quarterback. Now, will that be true? I don't know. And then again, like you said, Oklahoma with bringing in Ben Arbuckle at OC, John Mateer, you get some health back at the skill position. Jaden Ott obviously comes in at running back. I think obviously there's a lot of people high on Oklahoma, and I think it's for a decent reason. But as even a fan, I'm gonna have to see it. Just I'm to that point. I've been hurt too much by this staff. I'm gonna have to see it. Do we have anything to say about 11 through 16? Like
No,
I kind of
mean it's kind of chalk. I think I I personally would have Tennessee behind Auburn and Missouri.
yeah.
I would have Tennessee in the very bottom half of this conference this year with the mountain of turnover they have to overcome. But other than that, I mean, we'll get into this later with worse teams, but I don't know. I don't think Vandy's going to surprise anybody this year and sneak up on anyone.
I mean,
so
if you ask Diego Pavia, they're going to play for a national championship.
yeah, well, until they start until they start an NIT in college football, Vandy's not playing for a national championship.
I fear that you're right. As much as I think that their coach is a complete nerd and dork, and I don't think they're going to be as good as they've been the last couple of years, I think Missouri could probably be a little higher in that like 9-10 range because, this team that won, they've been good. Missouri's been good. Say what you want about Eli Drinkwitz, and he kind of is a goober. Like he looks like a nerd. He kind of acts like a nerd. It is what it is. But I think Missouri could be a little higher. But Auburn. There's been a lot of talk about Auburn, Dalt. You don't know what are they going to get in Jackson Arnold, who obviously transferred from Oklahoma. There's been some videos kind of making the rounds on Twitter. Hugh Freeze kind of getting into him at practice. And then, Hugh Freeze came out earlier, I think this week, and makes the comment, like not necessarily as an Auburn fan, it's not like probably you could take it, I guess, in a lot of different ways. But they kind of ask him, what's the possibility of all three quarterbacks playing this week or against Baylor? And he just said, yes. Like, what does that mean? Do you have specific packages for these guys? Do you hope you're going to beat them so bad that you get all your quarterbacks playing time? Like, are you just that unsure at the quarterback position? I don't know. What does it mean? What does it mean?
Well, it honestly might be whatever play caller who his favorite quarterback is. First down coach may love Jackson Arnold, runs him out there on first down. Third down coach may love Deuce Knight.
Right. We have different. Yeah. I saw somebody trying to defend that and saying, that happens on sidelines all the time. And that, there's usually one guy that has the final say every play. And I'm just like, I don't know about that. I never coached college football, but I don't know.
I don't think there's three coaches calling in a play,
right?
And then the head guy being like, "Okay," like I don't see it. It's a little weird. Now, if you told me that you had a guy that prepared all week a game plan for third downs, I could see that, and he has a script of third down plays that he likes. I could see that, but not a guy that's just on the headset dialing up 3rd and 3s.
Right. So I'll ask you this, Dalt. You're the resident Texas fan here. You didn't mention your Longhorns being number one. I mean,
that's chalk.
With that confident, huh?
That's chalk, baby.
Okay. New. I mean, that's fine. I mean, I would probably have Georgia at 1 if it were me. They won the conference last year. I get the hype around Texas. You have Arch Manning, obviously.
What you did last year doesn't win it this year.
No, that's very true. But, I mean, I don't know that either team's any more proven than the other, is all I'm saying. Like, do people probably feel better about Arch Manning than, who is it, Gunnar Stockton?
Gunnar Stockton?
I would imagine so, yes. But, yeah, I look at 1 through 4. Again, we'll move on here. And like I said, I think and maybe this is not a bold take by any means, but I think your champion comes from that group, most likely. A lot of people like LSU. You kind of feel like, I guess I wouldn't say make or break, Dalt, but LSU, man, they don't care to fire a coach. Do we kind of? How much pressure is Brian Kelly under? mean, this team, people are talking about them winning not just the SEC, but having a good chance to win the national title. With Garrett Nussmeier comes back, that was a big, huge deal. They did a lot in the portal from an offensive standpoint. Expect the defense to be better under Baker in year 2.
Maybe,
but will it be? Yeah, that's the
yeah.
question.
I mean, the offense can only do so much. This isn't going to be 2019 LSU offense out there with Joe Burrow throwing it to Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the backfield. Like you just said, the top 4 teams are probably going to be. You would think that's where the winner's coming from, because on paper, those are the 4 best rosters that money can buy. I would argue that Oklahoma's roster is close. I would argue that Ole Miss's roster is close, but Ole Miss's roster was, I would think, in the top 4 last year, and they lost 3 conference games.
I would argue that Auburn's roster is close, outside of maybe the quarterback position.
Yeah, but that's a big position.
Well, sure. And even you could kind of maybe rope A&M into that same category. And again, I'm not trying to sit here and hate on Marcel Reed, but again, I'm just going to have to see it. That's all I'm saying on that. So we'll move on here, Dalt. You look at the bottom 3, 4. Vanderbilt, you touched on. Arkansas, Kentucky, Mississippi State. I think those are going to be your 3 worst teams. Doesn't really matter how they finish. Fan of the show, your buddy Conley. Sorry. I think you guys need to fire Mark Stoops. I think we got to move on. Mississippi State, probably still rebuilding with Jeff Lebby. And then Arkansas, talk about hot seats.
Probably firing Sam Pittman this year.
Probably firing Sam Pittman, most likely. So, Dalt, let's get into these over-unders. Not just going to touch on every single team, but I've got schedules here. We'll go, I guess I have it in alphabetical order. So we have 3 teams at, right? 3
9-5
at 9.5 wins. That's your top 3: Texas, Georgia, and Alabama. I guess kind of the way we've been doing this, we've not been really touching on these all individually. We've kind of been grouping them like that, or talking about, overs we like or unders we like kind of locks. But you look at these 9.5 win teams. Which one do you think you like the best out of those 3? You can be a little biased. I think it's Texas. Me personally,
I would feel that way if the out of conference wasn't Ohio State.
Sure.
Georgia's out of conference is terrible. Alabama's out of conference is terrible.
I kind of forget about Ohio State. That does kind of.
And that's the conference schedule for Oklahoma or for Texas is somewhat easier. You do have the tough road games in Athens. You do have the tough road game in Gainesville.
Looking at the schedule, I'll probably switch to Georgia. I think it's Georgia.
That's kind of where I'm leaning, is Georgia. But at the same time, yeah, it would probably have to be Georgia for me, because they get Alabama at home, they get Texas at home, and they get Ole Miss at home. Correct?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, really, their toughest road game. I mean, even I think we both kind of think Georgia Tech's going to be better, but that's technically a neutral site game.
Nope. It's not a neutral site game.
It is. They're playing it in Atlanta. I listened to somebody. It was Josh Pate was talking about that. They moved it to Atlanta
in the Mercedes-Benz.
Mm-hmm.
Really, boy, that kind of screws Georgia Tech.
They basically did that. Georgia Tech did that to essentially make more money on the game.
Fair essentially.
Enough. But yeah, outside of that, their toughest road conference game. I mean, they go to Tennessee week 3, and then I guess at Auburn week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, week 7.
We talked about this, and I'm just kind of bumfuzzled that everybody and their dog is circling that Auburn game as a loss for Georgia.
Yeah. A lot of people talking about that.
And I I don't see it. I honestly don't see it. Now you could tell
Yeah.
me that Alabama and Texas go into Athens and win that game, and I would be like, yeah, I get that. And then guess what? 10-2, they still hit the over.
Yeah, we had talked about that the other day, and I've seen several people picking Auburn to potentially start 5-1, beating Georgia, but like losing to Oklahoma. And I know the Georgia Auburn game. I think it's like what considered the oldest rivalry in the South or something. It is a rivalry game, but it's just really not one that's probably talked about a whole lot. And I mean, it is two storied programs, probably a lot of bad blood, but I don't see Georgia losing that game. I mean, they're going to be. It ain't like. I mean, they're going to be have already played Tennessee and Alabama, coming off a game against Kentucky at home. Like, I don't think they're going to be. I mean, you got Ole Miss after, but I just don't think they're going to be overlooking Auburn. Like, I just don't. I don't see that. And so, yeah, when I look at these schedules, like you look at Texas and Bama. I mean, I obviously think Florida State's going to be a lot better because I picked them to play in the ACC championship. So, I mean, Alabama has two Power Four non-con games, which I know Wisconsin's terrible, but still, it's a Power Four program.
Yeah.
So credit to them for that. But then even you look at Alabama's last four games, and they got LSU, then Oklahoma, granted both at home. Then they get that little basically bye week, Eastern Illinois, and then they finish at Auburn in the Iron Bowl, and that's obviously never an easy game to win in that rivalry. So I just think looking at the schedule, and they go to Georgia, obviously, and South Carolina. Bama's schedule's tough. So I think out of those 9.5, I would agree with you. I would take Georgia, and if Texas didn't have Ohio State, I think Texas's schedule is tougher this year than it was a year ago because we think Florida is going to be better. But as far as that conference schedule, I mean, I think you can put bias aside. It's not the toughest SEC conference schedule.
No. I mean, the teams should be good, but you're still playing.
I mean, you're getting
what, 3 of the bottom 4.
You're getting the bottom 3. What we think are the bottom 3 teams, in Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Arkansas, and then I guess realistically Vanderbilt. You're getting all 4.
You play the 4. You're getting 4 of the bottom.
Yeah, because you're getting Vanderbilt. Now, granted, this is not your dad's Vanderbilt. They are better.
Yeah,
they're a respectable football team at this point. Which never thought we'd say that was better than the other 3 that we're talking about here, but that's where we're at. So, yeah, I'll agree with you. We'll move on here. Our next group, Dalt, we have a couple.
2.
I know we have 3 8.5s, 3 total. LSU, Ole Miss, and I know one of these you're probably going to love the under on, and that's Tennessee. Yeah. And so, because I know you want to talk about Tennessee a little bit, we'll go through the old Volunteer schedule here. They are Syracuse, Eastern Tennessee State, Georgia, Alabama, Birmingham, at Mississippi State, Arkansas at home, at Bama, at Kentucky, Oklahoma at home, New Mexico State, at Florida, and then Vanderbilt. So not a gauntlet by any stretch. Now, granted, all these teams are basically playing, right? They're playing the same teams they played a year ago. It's just the home and home is flipped because they did that with OU and Texas coming in. So, and then it'll be the same way. Well, I guess it won't be next year because they are changing the schedules. We didn't even talk about that. Do you think is Tennessee? What do you think, Dalt?
Seven's the best they got.
You think that's the very best?
That is the very best. They are not beating Florida. They are not beating Oklahoma. They are not beating Alabama. And they're not beating Tennessee. That's 4 or 5.
You said they're not beating Florida, Oklahoma, Bama, Georgia, right?
Yeah. And they're not beating Syracuse in week 1.
So that's 5. That'd be 7 and 5.
That's 7 and 5.
If you think they're not beating, and I mean, even if they lose those 4 that you said before that, that's 8 and 4. So they're not.
Yeah.
I would kind of agree. Now, I think I see a path to 9-3, maybe more so than you, because again, I have heard that they like the Aggie. Now everybody's going to say they like their quarterback.
Well,
And
and that's what I was gonna say. Remember when Caleb Williams, not Caleb Knight, Caleb Williams left USC? Who was the quarterback that followed him the very next year?
Miller Moss.
Miller Moss. Everybody said they loved Miller Moss in a Lincoln
yeah.
Riley system. He's a better system guy. Blah 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 blah. Dog shit.
Okay, hold on. I have one problem here. We're talking about a guy that is arguably one of the best, could be considered one of the best college quarterbacks we've seen in a long time.
But it's the same
Won
thing.
a Heisman. Like, this is not, we're replacing Nico, though. Like, granted, a lot of people thought he was going to be great, superstar. I don't think that's what's going to happen. So I don't think you have quite as much to replace.
I understand that, but you also don't have a wrecking ball to turn around and put it in Samson's belly this year, like Nico did.
No, I agree. And I mean,
so
I just think,
for me, I think Tennessee is just, they are what Florida State was last year. Maybe not to that extreme. I don't want to, not to that extreme. They're not going 2-9,
2-10,
or 2-10. They're not going that bad.
Yeah,
but they are going to struggle in the SEC because of what they have to replace.
Well, so momentum's a real thing too, though, Dalt. And so when you look at it realistically, going into Oklahoma, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's week 10. They're going to be 6-2, right? Or, well, you think 5-3. If you, I don't think they're losing to Syracuse. You think they are? I think they win, loss, win, loss, win. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So I would say they're going to be 6-2 with Oklahoma coming to Knoxville. I don't think anybody can argue that that's not right now. It's not a winnable game for Tennessee. Now, you have your reservations. I think that's fair. But I think Tennessee and most of their fans and people would think they like their chances against Oklahoma at home. Might not be the case. As a fan of Oklahoma, I hope not. Hope we go in there and kill them. But let's just say if they are, and if they beat Oklahoma,
they're going 9-3 then.
Yeah, or possibly 10-2. I mean, let's not act like Florida is just a foregone conclusion. Like, again, let's not put the chariot before the horse here. That's all I'm saying. But I would agree if I think Oklahoma, that game, I think they're in a lot better place. Obviously,
if we're talking about Tennessee going 10-2, I hold on.
Well, listen, I'm not saying that they are going 10-2. I'm just saying if some of these teams that if some of these teams that a lot of people think are not gonna, if they're not as good as what, like, a lot of people think Oklahoma and Florida are playoff teams, like national media people, like there's people picking them to make the playoff, win the SEC, or chance to win the SEC. And maybe that's not crazy.
I wouldn't disagree.
Okay, and that's fair. I think both those programs, for me, Tennessee's been better, so they have to prove it first. That's all I'm saying. But I would agree. I think 8-4 is very realistic. So if I had to take the under on one of these, I would take the under for Tennessee. Ole Miss, maybe. Let's look at their schedule. I mean, they have a tough stretch. Tough from, what is that, week 8, 9, and 10, man. They're at Georgia, at Oklahoma, and then South Carolina at home. Then they get the Citadel, and then
there's
they get
your
Florida.
3 losses. There's your 3 losses that you can afford right there, I think.
Well, they got LSU before that game too. I mean, I think you look at Ole Miss. If I think this is probably a down year. I don't think I would hate the under on that one either. I could see them at 8-4. I could see them going 7-5. I mean, the Bentley kid, I think a lot of people like. He looked really good when he came in against Georgia last year, but that was one drive. Simmons. I don't know
Simmons.
why I said that. Bentley was, I think, the running back there.
Yeah, the lefty
Yeah.
swag, baby.
He looked really good against Georgia, but Georgia also wasn't ready for that. Like, I think there's been a lot of guys come in for a drive and look really good, and I'm just not going to put all my eggs in that basket. And then LSU, Dalt, probably starting with a loss at Clemson. It says at Clemson, but that's a neutral site game, isn't it?
No, it's in Death Valley.
Is it in Death Valley? Okay, cool. I like that. But then, I mean, they got Florida early, at Ole Miss, South Carolina. Their finish is not just brutal. They do have to go to Alabama and Oklahoma, 2 of the last 4 weeks, but they've got Arkansas and Western Kentucky packed between those two. So essentially like back-to-back bye weeks before they get to come play my Sooners. Don't love that, but I think LSU's better than 8-4. Me personally. Like, I think they may lose to Clemson and they might not lose again until Bama. Just my personal opinion. So I would say Ole Miss or Tennessee there, but I probably would agree with you. I'd take the under on Tennessee, and if I had to pick the over, I'd take LSU. Would you agree with that one?
I would 100% agree. I don't love the over on any of the 8-5s.
Okay.
I know LSU's supposed to be really, really good, but let's not act like they can't lose to Texas A&M.
I feel like that's like 8-5, 8.5, and 7.5 in the SEC is so hard to pick because there are so many good, like not great, but good teams that can sneak up on you in like a tough road environment. I mean, it's like last year, Oklahoma was terrible and they beat Alabama at home because Jalen Milroe just literally craps down his leg. Like, I mean, nobody saw that coming. Like, it's just same with them losing to Vanderbilt. Sorry, Corey.
Diego Pavius. Diego Pavius seen it coming.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
He dreamed it.
Okay, let's move on here, Dalt. We got several 7-5s, okay? Or 7-5, 7.5s, several here. I think we may like some of the overs and we may like some of the unders, but we've got Auburn, Florida, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and A&M all at 7.5 wins. And I can tell you right now, Florida and Oklahoma, the schedules are not favorable. But I think we both agree with what we've said so far that we like both of those teams a lot more than we probably did last year. But now you look at South Carolina. Let's look at South Carolina.
Okay.
Who, what'd they start? Like 3-3 last year and then won 6 straight and finished 9-3 and then lost the bowl game.
Yep.
So, coming off a good year for South Carolina, Shane Beamer. And I think there's a lot of pressure there for him also because that's a fan base that, they've seen some success, obviously, with Steve Spurrier in those days. Some really good players have gone through there, but they just have not been very good for a long time. And he, he had a good year a couple of years ago and then kind of fell off the cliff and then come back last year, had a really good year. But you look at their schedule, they start with Virginia Tech. I think that's probably a win, but maybe not an easy game.
Not an easy game. It's
probably
home.
It's probably a losable game. It's a losable game. I mean, and so then you get South Carolina
State,
Vanderbilt, at Missouri, Kentucky. So I mean, I think there's a real good chance that they start 5-0.
Yep.
Then they're at LSU. I think that's probably a loss.
More than likely.
Oklahoma at home. I think that's winnable.
Yeah. I mean that it's a coin flip game for me.
And you talk about just brutal stretch, man. I mean, at LSU, Oklahoma at home, Alabama at home, at Ole Miss, who we do think Ole Miss is going to be down, but they're not going to be a terrible team.
No.
And then at a bye week, and then at A&M, another game that they could lose. And then they get Coastal Carolina and then Clemson, which I would say they're losing that game. I think Clemson's better. So you look at they got to get to 8 here, Dalt. I think if they start 5-0, that means they just got to win, 3 of their last 7.
Yeah, but They would have to beat Oklahoma, Ole Miss,
And Coastal.
and Coastal. I mean, it's doable.
I'll be honest with you, Doll. I think they could start 5-0 and finish 6-6.
That's
And Shane Beamer might get fired.
I don't hate that. Like that's the thing. This stretch of games for them is brutal.
Yeah, it's
And
rough.
I know because and here's the thing. You should beat LSU last year at home. You didn't.
Right.
Now you have to go to Death Valley.
Yeah.
You kicked the dog shit out of OU last year. You think they don't want their get back?
Right.
People are saying that Alabama snuck by you last year, which they did. You do get them at home. They're going to be better, I think. Ole Miss on the road.
Ole Miss killed them last year.
Yeah.
Wasn't it like 27-3 or something?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's good revenge game there if you want to use that.
Once again, you absolutely beat the snot out of Texas A&M at home. And now you have to go on the road.
Yeah.
To them pissed off farmers. You're going to beat Coastal. Oh, and by the way, you just happened to beat the shit out of Clemson last year. And people are talking about them winning a national championship. And you get to round off your season with them. So the back end of this schedule is incredibly tough.
It's rough. I mean, you talk about going from highest of highs. You start 5-0, probably easily a top 15, probably top 10 team at that point going into LSU. And you're talking about a very real world where you finish 1-6, 1-5, or 1-6 and go 6-6. Like,
yeah.
But looking at some of these others, Dalt, Auburn got to get to 8. I don't think I love it. They're at Baylor actually a week from tomorrow on
Friday.
Yeah, on Friday night. And I think a lot of people think Baylor is going to be better. If there's any coach in the Big 12 that knows how to prepare and play an SEC team, it's probably Dave Aranda, who spent time at LSU and won a national title there. But then you get Ball State, South Alabama, at Oklahoma early. A lot of people picking them to lose that game right now. And then you follow that up with at A&M. Like, that's a brutal road stretch. Then you get Georgia. Missouri's winnable probably. At Arkansas, winnable. Kentucky, winnable. Vanderbilt, winnable. But you lost that game last year.
The schedule lightens after Georgia. After Georgia, they could go on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 game winning streak. So if they start 3-0, they could go 8-4.
8-4. Yeah.
I think that they are going to beat Baylor next Friday night. I
would probably pick them right now.
One of them things where it's just the roster's better.
Yeah. Okay, so I think right now we'd probably both. I think we both lean 8-4. I think again, you just don't know what you're going to get out of the quarterback position. I mean, if you just get good, solid play from Jackson Arnold, or even if they have to insert Deuce Knight, who, Hugh Freeze said this past week that he's going to be a freak, and he very well may be. And if they go to him and he just, turns it on and never looks back, this may not be a conversation. Auburn may be really good because I think, everything else is there offensively, and the defense at Auburn's always good. Like, they're going to be fine. And like, a lot of people talking about this being one of the better offensive lines in the SEC. They obviously have what is it? Cam Coleman? Is it Cam?
Cam Coleman.
The kid.
The other kid graduated, didn't he?
Yeah, the transfer they had last year.
That was just
but they got
stupid good.
Yeah, I feel like they got somebody else, but I don't know. Not super familiar with the roster, but Auburn has dudes. Like they're gonna have dudes.
Cam Coleman's a freak.
Like he's right up there with, could be one of the best wide receivers in college football. Easily could be top 5.
Let's just pause for a quick second and let's talk about how good this sophomore class of wide receivers is in college football right now. Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams, Cam Coleman, Nico Hardman, or Harbor at South Carolina.
Oh yeah.
Ryan Wingo at
Harbor.
Texas.
Nick Harbor. Yeah.
Yeah, Nick Harbor, not Nicole. I'm sure there are other guys that I missed from last year, but I mean that's 5 guys that could easily go in the first round of next year's draft.
Yeah. All in the same conference.
All not
Jeremiah
Smith. But that's the thing, like that class has got full of dudes. But you're right. I mean, it's going to come down to quarterback play. I would trust that Hugh Freeze is going to. Yeah, I mean, I think 8-4.
A&M, Dalt.
They got to get to 8-4. That's bread and butter. Texas 8-4. Is that's what they're calling? That's what everybody's calling them.
Yeah. So if that's the case, you love the over here now. Like several
let's take a little peeky.
Surprisingly enough, like several of these SEC teams this year, they have a tough non-con, which they're at Notre Dame week 3. So the possibility of starting 2-1 is very good. But then you get Auburn, Mississippi State, Florida, Arkansas. I think right now A&M would say that all 4 of those games are very winnable, and so you could potentially roll into Death Valley week 9 at 7-1 or 6-1. I think that's very possible. And then honestly, you finish, if you lose at LSU, then you're at Missouri, who they just killed last year. South Carolina killed them. Let's just say they win 7. I like the over. You think they go 8-4?
8-4.
So who you got them losing to? Florida, LSU, South Carolina, and Texas?
No. I have them beating. I have them losing to Florida.
Oh, Notre Dame,
Texas, and LSU.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's the thing. 8-4, 9-3. I think very realistic. Texas A&M could go 10-2.
Sure.
I believe that it is right there for them. They could very easily go beat Florida and LSU in Death Valley. I think that that's very doable for them because the dynamic of what is LSU's defense going to be, and we both think Texas A&M is going to have a good defense. But the fact of them going and doing it, they're going to get to 8 wins. The roster is good enough to get to 8 wins. It is now whether they can get to 10 wins and get into the playoff. Texas A&M goes 10-2, they're in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean the schedule is not brutal, but with that schedule, I mean, I think for the most part, unless you just have a bunch of teams that go 11-1, 11-2, like 10-2 in the SEC, get you in. Like get you in. So I would agree. I think 8-4 is. I think 8-4 is. I mean, I think there's a world where you see 7-5. Like I'm not going to ever count A&M out to totally just let down. I think there's probably a world where you go 6-6. If you lose the game against Missouri, South Carolina, I think it's possible. I wouldn't pick that right now. I'd pick them to win both of those games right now. But I think 7-5 is possible. But I would like the over here now. We'll touch on these last 2 real quick, Dalt. We talked about the schedules just being, 2 of probably the toughest in the conference. And, I think that looking at them, maybe the schedules are more favorable than they were a year ago because some of these teams on the schedules are not probably going to be as good. But that's Oklahoma and Florida, both at 7.5. I don't know. I'm always hard on Oklahoma. I as a fan, I'm hurt right now. I'll throw it to Florida first. Tough non-con with Miami and Florida. Like it's their rivalry games. Like they lost Miami last year. Now I think Miami's not going to be as good. You don't have
Cam Ward.
Like
Or
that makes the difference.
Restrepo.
but I do think Florida State's going to be better. Just me personally. But you look at like Ole Miss, Tennessee. I don't think either of those teams are going to be what they were a year ago, and they beat Ole Miss last year anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then Texas, obviously, probably not winning that game. At LSU, they beat LSU last year too, right? Yeah. So that's kind of a revenge game early for LSU. I don't see them winning that game. I think they probably start 3-2. I mean, just me personally. And then, but then I think they beat A&M. They beat Mississippi State, obviously. So that's 5-2. I don't know that they beat Georgia. Obviously, big rivalry game there. World's largest outdoor cocktail party. So that's what 5-3. And then I'll be honest with you, Doll, I think they could win their last 4 games if they finish 9-3. I mean, you like them at 9-3?
I like them at 10-2.
Really? Okay.
Really?
So who do you have them beating that I have them losing to? One of those
Georgia.
3? You think they beat who they beat?
Georgia.
Okay. I mean, I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
And here's the thing: who's to say that they don't beat Texas at home and go 11-1?
Yeah, it's possible.
I think 9-3. They're hitting the over. They're getting 8 wins. They're the quarterback play. If DJ Lagway is healthy, the quarterback play is night and day. Changes what this team looks like. He literally almost beat Georgia last year before he pulled or tore his hamstring, and that's with a worse team than what he's going to have in front of him this year. So I like the Florida over. I'm going to like both of these teams over, though. So just get ready. Like, you're not going to get it very often. I'm going to glaze OU a little bit, just a touch.
So here's my thing with OU. I think there's a pretty decent chance they start 5-0. I think they should. Just me. It's my personal opinion.
I do too.
And I would say if they start 5-0, they hit the over and they go at least 8-4. But then after that 5-0, you're Texas in the Cotton Bowl down in Dallas.
Anything can happen.
I think right now you pick Texas, but Oklahoma should be a lot better. It's one of the biggest rivalries in college football. I think Oklahoma could win that game. Brent Venables won it a couple of years ago when Texas had the better team. But right now I'd pick Texas. And so then they're at South Carolina. I think that's a winnable game. South Carolina is not an easy place to play, but it's also not exactly a gauntlet. And especially say they do lose to Texas, like coming off a loss, you're looking for a bounce back, but that's not obviously not an easy bounce back. But then you get Ole Miss at home, think that one's winnable. And then they're at Tennessee. Neyland's obviously tough place to play, but I know you're down on Tennessee. I'm definitely not as high, but I'm not as down as you. So I think that game's winnable. And then you finish tough 3 games to finish. Two of the 3 I think should be really tough. And then they lost to all 3 of these teams last year. So I don't think you can sit here and say any of them are surefire wins, but they're at Alabama, and then they get Missouri and LSU at home. So I mean, like I said, I think if they start 5-0, I think they win 3 of those last 7 games. I think they find a way, whether it's upsetting Texas and then maybe beating Ole Miss, Missouri, or lose to Texas and then maybe beat or South Carolina, like South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Missouri. Like those are all 4 winnable games. Now, my caveat with Oklahoma, Adult, and I'm close to the situation, obviously, being a fan. I watch every second of every miserable moment that goes on. Brent Venables, these games that, have been winnable or kind of coin flip, he's not been very good. at Oklahoma, which obviously is the only time he's been a head coach. But and he's lost a lot of games that he shouldn't have. Some could argue, whether it be when Oklahoma's still in the Big 12, or even last year they lost games they shouldn't have lost. Now, granted, they maybe won a couple they shouldn't have won too, but so the argument,
I mean,
I guess,
they only won one that they shouldn't have won. We could say Auburn.
Auburn,
That was kind of a fluke deal with Auburn, but
yeah. And so, I would probably take the over on Oklahoma. I don't know. I could see things going bad. I could see them going good. I think you look at last year, and it was almost just like a recipe for disaster. You make a lazy offensive coordinator hire, and we talked about all this. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse. You make a lazy offensive coordinator hire. Schedule's brutal. Like tons of injuries. It just it's just not good. And so you have to believe that you're not going to get hit by the injury bug like you did a year ago. Please. So
knock on wood.
Just unrealistic for that to happen twice.
It can't be that bad. Yes.
And so you feel like you have, an offensive coordinator and a guy that he's coached in Mateer, who a lot of people think is going to be really good. I mean, people are picking him to win the Heisman. I'm not there personally, but and then you bring in Jade Knob at running back, so you have an established running back. But the thing with him is, can he stay healthy also? And then to me, biggest thing with Oklahoma, Dalt, people are just assuming that the offensive line is going to be better.
No, I'm not there.
And so
that's honestly my biggest question mark about Oklahoma.
So I do think it's going to be better, but I don't think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be serviceable. Now, I do think you have a couple of young guys right now. Everything that I'm hearing based on all the OU stuff that I follow, listen to, whatever, the Fasusi kid, obviously, and then Foje, I think that they're going to play. So how worrisome is that you have true freshmen playing in the SEC? I don't know. Bill Bedenbaugh said that Fasusi's the best offensive lineman that he's ever coached the other day.
I mean, I can see it. He's a 5-star. He's a great talent. Texas really wanted him.
I say that. He said that he is showing the signs and has the ability to be the best offensive lineman that he's ever coached.
I can see that.
Now, granted, and so that he knows offensive line play. Like, he's one of the best in the business, coached a lot of good offensive linemen. So I like to think the offensive line will be better, but it ain't winning the Joe Moore Award.
No, the thing.
But also, no, go ahead. I won't cut you off.
The thing about that, Texas played a true freshman in Kelvin Banks, 5-star, left tackle, highly touted, just like Michael Fasusi. The difference was Kelvin Banks' freshman year, he was playing in the Big 12.
Right. It's a little different animal.
If they throw Michael Fasusi out there, he's going to be seeing edges like Dylan Stewart, whoever Bama runs out there, Colin Simmons, Trey Moore,
the freaks from Georgia.
Yes,
well, not Georgia,
because LSU, and it's
Tennessee.
Just one of the, it's one of them things where it's not just shitting on the Big 12 by no means, but it's a different animal.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But I'm not saying that he can't do it. I'm just saying that there's a learning curve from jumping from high school to college, especially high school to the SEC as an offensive lineman.
I will just say this. I will have a much more formed opinion on the offensive line after week 2.
After Michigan?
Yeah. But the other caveat with the offensive line, I think they're going to be better. They had a lot of health issues last year too. Like, granted, they didn't have like maybe the best players, but they had a lot of issues with health too. Never could really get any continuity there. And now how good were the players? I guess we don't know. But, I think they just feel better in that aspect as well. But you also have, I think, a better situation at offensive coordinator, Dalt, and a good offensive coordinator can work around a not great offensive line, like with play calling. Like you can
hide your offensive line.
And it's just like they never tried to do any of that last year. And so I think you can get some of that with Arbuckle too. And you have a quarterback that has the ability to run. You have a running back in Ott, if he stays healthy, that can get out of the backfield and catch the ball if he has to get it early.
But
So
you have three really good running backs at Oklahoma.
sure,
You have Jaden Ott, you have Taylor Tatum, you have the Robinson kid.
yeah,
I mean, I think that Oklahoma, I think the over all day. I think they get to 8-4 easy. I think 9-3 is doable. 10-2, like everybody else in the country's predicting, you could
be a
win
hell of a
that
year.
Texas. You could win that Texas game if Oklahoma goes 10-2. They're in the playoffs. The
Oh,
same as
absolutely.
Texas A&M. Like it's one of them
Like if
things.
they go
Like
10-2, I mean, some of these teams they go 10-2, they might be in the SEC championship game.
very very, if they beat Texas or
And I mean,
say
they're
they
gonna
lose to
they
Texas or beat Alabama
they literally have the teams that they need to have on the schedule
to
to
go to the
win,
SEC.
for tiebreakers outside of Georgia. So I would say over. I like 8-4. That's just kind of my thoughts right now. And
I like 9-3. I think you beat South Carolina.
so the rest of these teams, Dalt, I don't want to really spend much more time on. Yeah, I guess Missouri, they're at 6.5. I kind of probably would have them at 7.5 myself. I think they have a very doable non-con. Should be 4-0 in the non-con. I think Kansas. I don't know, but I think they're better than Kansas. And then you get, for some reason, Vanderbilt has a South Carolina helmet on this graphic I'm looking at. Anyway, uh, I guess that's supposed to be South Carolina because Vanderbilt's on there again. So South Carolina, Alabama, at Auburn, at Vandy, A&M. Like let's see here. They get 4. Let's just say they lose. I'm trying to look here, South Carolina. That's what am I? Yeah. So
To get to
let's just say
7,
they. Let's just say they got to get to 7. I think that's pretty doable, don't you?
they can
And
go 4-0 in the
Mississippi,
non-conference, but they're not
Mississippi
beating.
State, Arkansas, Vandy. I think those are your chances. Like Mississippi
those-
State and Mississippi State and Arkansas, I'd say are wins, and then Vanderbilt, it's at Vandy. That's probably a
And-
toss up.
and Auburn. I would say
And Auburn, but
I would give you Auburn too, but I think Auburn's going to be better than you.
I mean that's a tough stretch at Auburn, at Vandy. Like not great, but I think I would go at least 7-5 here. I would probably hit the over, and so then those last 3 or 4, Dalt, Arkansas 5.5. I don't really want to touch on Vanderbilt. I mean, and then Mississippi State and Kentucky. Where's Kentucky at? 4.5. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to talk about teams with less than 5. Like, could one of these teams surprise you? Could Arkansas get to 6? Doubt it.
We'll talk about that here in a minute.
Okay,
we're going to ruffle some feathers here in a minute.
Okay, so let's get into our predictions then, Dalt. We have, as we did last week, we're going to go through here, pick a worst team, a sleeper/surprise team, disappointing team, pick what we think is going to be the biggest game of the year in this conference. Then we got player of the year, coach of the year, our championship game matchup, and then we will pick our champion. So I will give you the floor. You hinted at this in the group chat yesterday. Maybe ruffle some feathers.
Ooh,
Give me.
Maybe we're about to ruffle some feathers.
Our neighbors across the Arkansas River may not like this take, but give me your worst team here, Dalt, in the SEC for 2025.
This is not because I hate Arkansas. This is not because our rivalry. We give a shit about them. Arkansas's roster outside of the quarterback position got worse than it was last year. There is a very, very good chance that Arkansas goes 4-8 and doesn't win a conference game. No. I'm sorry. 4-8 only wins one conference game. I personally think that they're going to go 3-9. Fire Sam Pittman. I think that'd
do it.
I think they win. I think they beat Memphis and the 2 other nobody teams they play, but Notre Dame's in the non-conference too.
Yeah.
And I think by the time it's all said and done, Taylon Green's going to be beat to shit, and you're going to get beat by Mississippi State and Kentucky. Tell me
Well,
why. Tell me why
although
they can't beat you.
they don't play Kentucky,
Oh, I'm sorry. They're going to give you
Mississippi State, and uh, I mean, I guess the other worst team on the schedule would be either Auburn or Missouri.
and they're going to be worse than both of them.
Yeah.
Your one chance at a conference win is Mississippi State, and I think by the time you have to play them, Taylon Green's going to be dead from having to run behind this offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, man, you're at Ole Miss, Notre Dame, at Tennessee, A&M, Auburn, then you get Mississippi State. So just get your brains caved in for like 4-5 weeks in a row, and then hey, you may be able to win this game against Mississippi State, but it's probably not a given.
And guess guess after seeing you get the shit kicked out of you for 3-4 weeks, guess who's going to have a little bit of confidence in themselves and play like it's their Super Bowl? Mississippi State's got to have a Super Bowl. It might as well be you.
Fair enough.
So I think Arkansas is going to be hands down the worst team in the SEC. Sam Pittman gets fired, and they all go looking forward to being the Omahogs again and not winning another baseball championship. Oh,
ouch.
Did I say that? Did I say that out loud?
Ouch. I'll do you one better, Dalt. Conley, cover your ears, buddy. Give me the Kentucky Wildcats, and Mark Stoops rides off into the sunset, Dalt, because this team is probably going to start 2-1 after 3 weeks. And let's see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Going to start 2-1 after 3 weeks, and they may not see another check in the win column until week 12 against Tennessee Tech. Because, and they may not win, like that may be the only game they win the rest of the year. Because they go at South Carolina, at Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, at Auburn, Florida, at Vandy, at Louisville. 3-9.
Sorry about you.
Maybe 4-8. Think best case scenario. Very, very best case scenario. I don't even think I can say 5-7. I mean,
No.
If you beat Vandy, 5-7, I guess. But I mean, like the games you have in conference that may be winnable on the road, like Auburn, I would say maybe, but it's at Auburn. Vandy, but it's at, I mean, not that Vandy's a tough place to play, but it's at Vandy. Like you get Ole Miss early, so they beat Ole Miss last year, right? Yeah. But yeah, I got them 3-9. I think they go 3-9 because unlike Arkansas, who at least gets that Mississippi State game thrown in there, they don't get one of the other two worst teams that we think are going to be in this conference. They don't get Arkansas or Mississippi State. They get Vandy, but Vandy I think is going to be better than them. Sorry, and then I mean they only get 2 of what I think was voted the bottom 5 or 6 in Auburn and Vandy.
Yep.
So
we think Auburn has potential.
Like I don't like the outlook for Kentucky. I got them as my worst team, Dalt. So we'll move on to our next category. Who is your sleeper / surprise team? And now, granted, this doesn't, I guess, have to be a team that's going to compete or win the conference, but a team that I guess essentially is going to do a lot better than what they kind of are predicted, and may beat some teams, may not, they may be 6-6, but that may be great for them. I don't know, or they may go 10-2. Who's your team here?
So it's hard to pick a sleeper / surprise team when you're talking about the SEC and you're saying 10-1 can be playing in the conference championship. Like you have that expectation for all of them, and it's kind of hard. But just going off of their win totals, if I had to pick one to be my sleeper team or my surprise team, I guess it would be, I don't know, Florida. I would go Florida because I think Florida's got a really good potential to go 9-3, and that's would be good. I think there's real potential to go 10-2 and get into the college football playoff for them. But I also think that of Oklahoma, but I'm going to lean more towards Florida because I think the schedule's a little bit more doable for them than it is for Oklahoma to go 10-2.
Yeah. I'm looking at two teams here, Dalt. Neither one of them are the one you just named. I'm going to go with the one with the lighter schedule. I'm going to say Missouri. Picked, 6.5 is the over under. A lot of people, I think, they think that this is going to be a team that takes a step back compared to what they were a year ago and the year before that. I think they like the Prabula kid that's coming in there at quarterback. But is he Brady Cook? I don't think so. And I mean, I don't know that Brady Cook was really that great either. But you just look at the schedule, and I just think the schedule's pretty favorable. Like, I mean, they don't play Georgia, they don't play Texas, they don't play LSU, they don't play Florida. I mean, really, like in that, I guess top 10 they have South Carolina, but they get them early, and I don't think South Carolina is going to be as good. And then outside of that, you got Bama, A&M, and Oklahoma. So, I don't. I think it's possible that this team could go 9-3. So, and that would be a great year for Missouri. So I like Missouri just mostly because, and who would have thought I'd be sitting here talking about Missouri, but I like Missouri as my surprise team in the SEC because I just don't think anybody's really talking about them other than in kind of a bad light, and I think they're going to be not necessarily a great team, but I think they're going to be better. So I guess we'll move on, Dalt. Who is your disappointing team in the SEC?
I'm stuck. I'm stuck between two.
You were spot on. I just was thinking about it earlier. This pick last year, you were spot on. You had LSU. And I mean, you hit it right on the head because really, I think people were talking more about LSU last year than they were this year. And we were kind of both down on LSU last year.
Yeah. Georgia's going to be the disappointing team in the SEC this year.
Ooh, might have to clip that. Okay, give me your reason.
If Georgia goes 9-3, are they not the disappointing team in the? Is that not a disappointment for them?
If they go 9-3, I mean, I would say that'd probably. I mean, I think most Georgia fans would consider that a disappointment.
9-3 Georgia, I don't think's getting into the college football playoff. If a 9-3 Alabama team did, I don't see 9-3 Georgia getting in. And it's not like I'm saying they're going to be terrible, but they could lose to Texas, they could lose to Alabama, and they could lose to Florida. 9-3, and people are picking them to lose to Auburn, so there's potential for 8-4 in those games. But I'm not just gonna chalk, and I'm not gonna say LSU again, even though I think that there's big potential for that again with them. But I'm gonna go with Georgia as my disappointing team.
Fair enough. I'm kind of torn between two teams, and one of them being kind of the same reason because of the year they had. Actually, both of them really because of the year that they had a season ago. I don't necessarily think that either of these teams are really going to be terrible teams, and I think you're right. You can be a disappointing team and not be bad. And I think it's too easy, I guess. I'm going to go South Carolina. I think a lot of people think that they're looking kind of the same as they were a year ago, possibly 9-3. And I just don't think they're going to be quite as good. And I think they have some really tough games. I don't think at Missouri is just a cakewalk. They're at LSU. Oklahoma is going to be better. Alabama, obviously. At Ole Miss is no guarantee. And then at A&M, and then you finish with Clemson. I think they could lose every one of those games that I just named. And I didn't even name Vanderbilt, who, it's early. Like, I think Vanderbilt could sneak up and maybe win that game. Like, outside of Lenora Sellers, like, what is their identity on offense this year? I mean, you have Nick Harbor at wide receiver, who, we think is really talented, but
he didn't have a great year last year.
I
And
just
you lose Rocket Sanders.
Yeah, and so I just think there's a possibility this team could go 7-5, and that would be a disappointment for South Carolina. So I have the Gamecocks as my disappointing team. So we'll move on, Dalt. I guess that takes us to biggest game in the SEC. So we are conference game. So who's your biggest game?
Alabama, Georgia in Athens.
Alabama, Georgia. I'm going to go Texas, Georgia. I think it was one of the biggest games last year. I think it's two teams that I think could possibly compete for the conference championship. So I'll go Texas, Georgia. And so we'll move on. Give me your player of the year in the SEC.
This is tough. I mean, in all seriousness, this is a very tough thing to pick because you've got a bunch of quarterbacks that aren't just household names, which don't get me wrong, household names, but aren't proven on teams that are at the top of this league. And then you've got guys like John Mateer, Lenore Sellers, that could easily win this and have great years. I think Garrett Nussmeier wins it. I think that he's going to be asked to throw the football a lot because I don't think they're going to be physical enough to run the football. So I think that Garrett Nussmeier is going to have to throw the football a lot. So I think he's going to have a great year. I think he'll win Player of the Year.
Okay. I'm kind of torn on this one because, like, you just don't have, like, I think a lot of people are saying Lenora Sellers. Obviously, they think he's maybe the best quarterback in the conference. Man, I don't know. I don't really want to pick a wide receiver, but I think I just don't know about the quarterback at Alabama. Like, I want to say Ryan Williams because he's just so talented, but like, is Ty Simpson right?
Yes.
Like, he's going to be the starter. So I don't know how good he's going to be. So I think it's a safer pick. I'm going to go like you did. I'm going to say Garrett Nussmeier. I like it. I like LSU this year. Who is your coach of the year in the SEC?
Steve Sarkisian.
Oh boy.
Okay. Okay. I don't pick Arch Manning, but it's oh boy when I pick Steve Sarkisian.
Okay. Fair enough.
I had another one that I wanted to say, but I don't think that it was going to be that great. I'll say it after you say yours.
I'm going to go Kalen DeBoer at Alabama.
I wasn't going to say that.
Okay. I'll take Kalen DeBoer. Championship game, Dalt.
Texas versus Alabama. Texas beats Bama.
Okay, so that's your championship game and your champion. I'm going to go LSU, Texas. And I'm going to take LSU. I think Brian Kelly gets it done. So I'll go LSU as my champion. So real quick recap. Worst team, Dalt. You have Arkansas. I took Kentucky. Sleeper/surprise. You took Florida. I'm taking Missouri. Disappointing team. Yours was Georgia. Mine was South Carolina. Biggest game. You like Georgia, Bama. I took Texas, Georgia. And then player of the year, we both had Garrett Nussmeyer. Coach of the year, you like Sark. I liked Kalen DeBoer. And then championship game, you had Bama, Texas, with Texas winning. I'm taking LSU, Texas, with LSU winning. Sorry, can't pick your Longhorns. I just can't do it. So that's our SEC preview, Dalt. We made it. Didn't go too long. Went a little long, but we kind of figured this one would be a little more long winded. So we have college football this weekend, Dalt. We have a big rivalry game in Dublin, Ireland. So looking forward to that one. We'll see how it goes this weekend. Have several other games, but that one's definitely the biggest one. And then we'll be back next week. We're going to give you a week one preview, several massive games to talk about. And then we're actually going to give our college football playoff picks next week after we do our preview of week one. And be fun to I didn't do a great job last year of keeping track of our picks and stuff, Dalt. I'm going to try to do better about that this year and write stuff down.
That was probably a good thing.
Yeah.
We had some real wild picks last year. We had Oklahoma State winning the Big 12.
Yeah.
BP had Florida State making the college football playoff.
Yeah, it was not good. So, yeah, we'll get out of here. Hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll be back next week for that week one preview. If you don't got anything else, Dalt, I guess we're out.
Don't forget to cover the flats.